Welcome to the Time Management Podcast with me, your host, Abigail Barnes. I'm a productivity coach, global speaker, time management author, and award-winning entrepreneur on a mission to share the 888 formula with the world and to remind you that it's your time. Leave it to me to bring you new time management tips, tricks, tools, and strategies, to introduce you to guests, research, and case studies from around the world, and to give you a simple 5-step process you can follow to uplevel your productivity, achieve your goals, and create a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Welcome to the show. We're back in the studio today for a conversation about, are you allocating your time wrong? If we all get the same 24 hours every single day, why don't you feel like you have enough? That what you do have is running out and that other people know something that you don't. This week, we're deep diving into the concept of time allocation because time can't really be managed. And if what you're allocating your 24 hours to each day isn't getting you the lifestyle that you want to be living or the optimum results that you deserve, then let's talk about it. This episode is for you if you're always running out of time. It's also for you if you feel like you never have enough time to get the things done that you want to do. And it's definitely for you if you are willing to change the way that you look at your time and the things that you are allocating it to. Let's start with the concept of time allocation, aka what really matters to you. Each of us has different circumstances. Each of us has different roles, different responsibilities, different lives, different lifestyles. So what matters to each of us is going to be very, very individual. And when it comes to how we're allocating our time, it is going to look different for each of us. If we consider this 24-hour game, we all have this 1,440 minutes every single day. What we are attributing it to, giving it to, using it for, is going to vary, is going to depend. It's also going to change depending on the day of the week, the time of the month, the time of the year, the roles and responsibilities that each of us has in our lives. Nobody's time allocation is going to look the same, and your time allocation isn't going to be the same throughout your entire life. Let's use the 888 formula as a framework for this episode and for this conversation. If you've heard me talk about it before, it's the simplest way to divide your 24-hour day based on science and society. Science says we need to sleep between 7 to 9 hours. Let's call that 8. Society says that we need to be working 8 hours a day. What is left then is the 8 in the middle, the jam in the 888 sandwich. And this is where you are allocating your time to your life, to your hobbies, to your relationships, to the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the house you maintain, the life admin, exercising, commuting, every single thing that isn't sleeping or resting or working comes out of that 8-hour bracket every single day. What needs to get done is going to be very, very specific to you. As I've said, your circumstances are going to dictate how you allocate your time. So yes, we all get the same 24 hours, but we are not all allocating it to the same things. What happens when I'm having conversations with clients and audiences that I speak to is the frustration that they don't have the life and the lifestyle that they want. But the reality is that they haven't designed the schedule that is using the time that they do have for the things that they want to achieve. Easier said than done. I get it. I hear you. Which is why episode 15 of the podcast, we talk about how to help you find out where all your time is going, using my book, Time Management for Entrepreneurs and Professionals, and the simple 5-step process. Step number one is track your time. When you track your time or you audit your time, you will start to see where it's going. And sometimes it's going on things that you have to do, but you don't necessarily want to do them because of the stage or phase of life that you're in right now. And sometimes it is going on things that you've always done because somebody told you when you were younger that this was where you needed to be allocating your time or spending your time in order to be a good girl, a good boy, a good human, a good daughter, a good son, a good employee. Now that we know better, now that we know more, we can start to take control of our time and our allocation. But if we are unaware of where it's going, if we are unaware of the habits and the patterns that we are exhibiting and living day in, day out, we can't change. Because step one of change is to become aware. Step two, then, is once you are aware, you can make changes with that information. I like to call it that the data you now have from your time audit helps you to make the decisions that you want to create the life that you want to be living. Your life, your lifestyle, your time allocation is different to your friends, is different to your colleagues, is different to members of your family. We all have different roles, different responsibilities, different lifestyles, and we all have different things that we want to achieve in these lives, which is what makes life so exciting. If we all wanted the same things, then life would be really, really boring. There would be no variety, there would be no flavor. But if you feel like the lifestyle that you have right now isn't the one that you want, then please, please, please do the homework, track your time for 7 days, find out where it is going. And from there, you will be able to design the schedule that you want with the time that you have. The 888 formula is a starting point, a framework for you to then decide, I only need 7.5 hours sleep. That's how much the average person needs every night. So you can then allocate the 30 minutes to something else. Perhaps when you do your time audit, you find out that you are working more hours than you need because maybe you need systems, maybe you need processes, maybe you are doing work that doesn't belong in your department, it belongs in other departments. When you track your time, the data that you will get will quite simply blow your mind and empower your ability to change. I have never worked with anybody or for anybody who has ever liked me saying, I'm so busy, I can't do it all. When I have been able to say, this is what I can do with the time that I have, these are the things I'm not going to be able to achieve, they have then been able to reallocate them. If you've not been around here for a while, and this is our first time hanging out on the podcast, prior to starting my business, I worked in finance for over 10 years in the marketing departments of investment management, asset management, and hedge funds. I learned a lot about time management and a lot about teams and a lot about projects. And that was where I really was able to experiment the most with my work schedule from that professional point of view. For over the last 11 years, I have been running my own business, so have been managing and allocating my time in a different way. But I understand the to-do lists never get any shorter. As an entrepreneur, the to-do list never gets any shorter. As a professional, the to-do list never gets any shorter. And if you are looking after or caring for family as well, that's another to-do list on top of the other to-do lists. And if you are looking after and maintaining a home, that is another to-do list on top of all the other to-do lists. We are all busy. We all have lots of different things clamoring for our time. But the question and the fundamental conversation of this week's episode is for you to ask yourself, am I allocating it wrong? Am I giving it to the things that it doesn't need to be given to? And only you can decide. On last week's episode of the podcast, we were talking about decision making using human design. This was episode 54, and I recorded that for you from the Nevada desert. If you've not watched that one, definitely check it out. Listen to the audio, watch the video. It is fabulous. I give you views of the amazing deserts and the lake where I was staying. It was so stunning. In that episode, I was using human design as a framework to help you to understand that we are all built differently. We all have different preferences, different ways we make decisions. In human design, they say that we all have a different strategy, we all have a different authority. Our strategy is how we respond to things if we are a generator versus creating things. So me as a generator, I respond to people's requests, people's questions. When people ask me questions, how do I do this? How do I do that? I'd like you to talk about this on the podcast. I'd like you to talk about that. When I am speaking to audiences and audiences ask questions, I'm responding. That's my natural state, my natural strategy. There are 5 different types in the human design. Every human design has a different strategy. Depending on your type will depend on how you react. So generators, we respond versus creating. My authority is an emotional authority. So I make decisions based on how I feel. And in a world where we have been told for years that feelings are a weakness and feelings are not reliable and feelings are not a great way to make a decision, learning how to live with your feelings, to make decisions with those feelings, is a journey in itself. And again, not everybody with their human design makes decisions like that. A percentage of us do, and I am one of that percentage. So let's look at what else might be affecting your time allocation when it comes to where is all my time going? What is the right thing or the wrong thing for me to be allocating my time to? There might be things that are inhibiting you based on previous episodes and conversations that we've had. I'm going to list out some episodes. Go check out the ones that resonate with you, because our mindset, our circumstances, our environment, our education, how we have been raised, the cultures we have been raised within, have all had an impact on how we see time. When you change the way you look at your time, the time you have will change. You might want to check out episode 25, the imposter syndrome. And in that episode, we talked about the big secret that nobody is telling you. You might want to check out episode 37, procrastination. Is it a trauma response? You might want to check out episode 44, people pleasing. Is this a trauma response? And in episode 52, I shared 5 things that I don't do as a time management coach. Those episodes are great places to start based on what is actually subconsciously sabotaging you when it comes to believing that this is your time, this is your 24 hours, and that you get to decide how to allocate it every single day. Because the habits that we have create the actions, and it's such an automatic process. The subconscious is something that we're not conscious of until we become conscious of it, which is why auditing your time, tracking your time, maybe even just start with 24 hours. Look at the data, and then you will, from there, pretty much guarantee, decide that you want more data, you want to track it for longer, and find out where it's all going. Who is actually using it? Are you spending more time on social media than you actually care to admit? They reckon that the average person spends 2 hours a day scrolling on social media, which adds up to around 30 days per year. If you don't feel like you have enough time, has social media got your time? And if you are not a social media scroller, that 2 hours, are you spending that 2 hours watching box sets, watching TV shows, getting involved in things that don't really matter to you, having conversations that are irrelevant. If you want to develop your career, you could be using that 2 hours every single day to do online courses, online training. How much do you really know about what is going on in the world of AI? We've got a great episode about AI on the podcast as well. I would highly recommend that you check that one out, because so many people don't really truly understand the capability of AI. They think it is just one solution, ChatGPT, but the world of AI is so much more than that one solution. AI is a collaborative tool. If you are not collaborating with AI on a daily basis, your time is being wasted. Because what is happening, and will continue to happen, and will continue to happen faster and faster and faster, is the people who understand AI and how to use it will be able to get more time back to then allocate it to other tasks and activities. So your job isn't necessarily going to be replaced by AI. Your job is going to be replaced by somebody who understands how to use AI for the job, for the roles. In the same way that when email came along, in the same way that when Excel spreadsheets came along, there used to be so much manual input jobs. I even did a few in my temping days when I was at university. I used to work temping in offices in finance, again, doing manual data entry. Those jobs do not exist anymore because Excel spreadsheets replaced them. Who would have thought that that would have happened? But it did. And people who then knew how to use those spreadsheets and create those macros and those formulas were able to then get employed for doing that. And then those roles became obsolete once they had created that. The best way to stay ahead in life is to constantly be at the leading edge, learning the newest things. It is education for life. We don't just do school education, higher education, and then that is it. It is so important and has never been more important than in the day and age that we find ourselves having this conversation right here, right now, to keep learning new things, which is why I am so interested in learning all of the different new things, including the human design. If you're interested in human design and you've listened to episode 24, what is human design and how can it save me time, and you have got your chart and you would like to know more about your chart, then click the link in the show notes below and check out the introduction to your human design one-to-one sessions with me, where I will explain your chart and get you started with your human design, understanding how it can save you time and also how it can help explain some of the things that may be repetitively coming up again and again and again. Because different designs have different gates and different channels activated, and maybe one of the gates or the channels that you have is causing challenges in your career, in your relationships, and you don't know why. One of the gates that I've got, apparently it is an alpha gate, and I have forever had a problem where I would walk into a room, sit down to have a meeting with somebody, and instantly their back would get up. I haven't even said anything, but this gate is an energy. We are energetic beings in these bodies. And since 2020, we have become so much more skilled at reading energy. We can hear it in people's tone of voice. We can read it in the way that they write their emails. We can feel it in a room that we go into. Sometimes the energy is just off. You can feel it. Understanding your human design is really, really going to benefit you from that point of view. Equally, this is the Time Management Podcast. One of the centers, there are 9 centers in our body. One of those centers, if it is colored in, if it is closed, if it is defined, is linked to productivity. If you don't have it defined, then this can be one of the reasons that your productivity comes in fits and bursts. It could also be because of your type as well. Human design is such a huge conversation. We don't have time to go into it today, but if you would like to know more about your own design, there are 5 sessions left with me this year, 2024. So click the link below and make sure you grab one of yours. As we're wrapping up this session today, your homework, audit your time, track your time for 24 hours. Start there. And then once you get that data and you get addicted to finding out the answers to, oh, that's where it's going, do it for longer. Do it for 7 days. The link for how to audit your time, again, is also in the show notes, as is a link to buy a copy of my book. Or if you want to start just with the free chapter, there is a link to that in the show notes as well. It goes without saying, truly, truly appreciate your support of the podcast. Over the last few days, we have just celebrated the first birthday of the podcast. It was started on my actual birthday, the 19th of October, 2023. So we just celebrated 1 year of the podcast and my birthday, and we are now in 108 countries around the world. I cannot believe it. Thank you so much for sharing it with your friends, your family, and your peers. Please keep doing that. Please keep leaving the reviews, as these really help with the algorithm as well, whichever platforms you're listening to on, and or if you are watching the episodes on the YouTube as well, because we are getting more and more viewers over there too. Every single episode, as I said, has a video version. If you have any questions you would like me to answer on a future podcast, then send us a message. The links, again, all in the show notes, or send me a message on a social media platform. I am on them all. Until next time, my friend, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it is your time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to let me know by leaving a review so I can keep the good stuff coming. Come and say hi on Instagram at Success by Design Training, or visit my website, successbydesigntraining.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Abigail Barnes. Until next time, don't forget, you are amazing and it's your time.